I'm dedicating this episode to all my fellow recovering perfectionists. Welcome to the PeopleNova Podcast. I'm Rachel O'Neill. If you've been listening along, I frequently mention that I'm a recovering perfectionist. Often, we forget to determine, are we doing it for the achievement or because it brings us joy? We have such an energizing conversation with today's guest to sort out this question. We chat about the steps to move towards joy in our work and life despite quarantine. We extensively discuss the importance of mental wellness. We learn about a new art medium that embraces flaws and imperfections to create beauty with our guest, Lesa Moloi. Welcome, everyone, to the PeopleNova Podcast. My name is Rachel O'Neill, and I'm here with a very close friend, colleague turned friend. I love these. Lesa, hi, welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me on this. I mean, I am so in love with your aura. It's amazing. And there's been so much interaction between the two of us, and already I'm just like, she's so phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry. Lesa, do a favor for us. Introduce yourself. Tell our audience how amazing you are.
Oh, wow. I didn't think I was amazing. But I'm currently running a startup here in South Africa. It's a prop tech startup called ParkUpp. It's essentially a marketplace where property owners who have empty parking spaces can list their parking on our platform, and people that need parking on a monthly, daily, and even for event parking basis can then book it on book it through our platform. So that's essentially what we do. We currently have a website because we've built a minimum viable product. So we're still in the process of building a mobile app at the moment.
Great. And so right now your product is in South Africa. Is it just Cape Town? Is it also Joburg?
Yeah, it's actually Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and we also have listings in LA as well because we're trying to expand into the US market as well.
Okay. LA, RLA?
Yeah, like Los Angeles.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. So what inspired you to start, a parking app?
Okay, a bit of my background is that I'm a qualified chartered accountant. So while I was doing my articles, we were auditing one of the state-owned companies, and we, as the trainees, didn't have like allocated parking in the building. So we had to park on the side of the road, and I drive like a VW Polo, and in South Africa, they're susceptible to theft, like people steal them, So I was constantly worried about like the safety of my car. It's parked outside, no one's looking after it. I would actually go every hour outside to check if my car's still there. So it was, causing a lot of anxiety.
Wow.
I was just very uncomfortable. So I found like a parkade that was empty, like close by. And I spoke to the guard, and he let me in, and he let me park there for like the rest of my audit season. So I kept on thinking, like every time I went there, I was like, there's probably other people that experience the same problem as me. And initially when I started the idea, it was going to improve the parking experiences for shopping centers. But we experienced a lot of problems there in terms of, I guess, being able to implement the idea, because we were going to install sensors, license plate recognition cameras. So there were very high barriers of entry. So in 2018, we got into an accelerator in Cape Town. And that's when we were able to pivot the business to what we have now as a marketplace. And literally when we launched, it was insane because we got like 5,500 listings on our platform, working with the biggest property funds in the country. It was insane. But that's essentially what inspired me to start the idea, is that I experienced the problem myself, and I knew that there were also other people experiencing the same thing.
Yeah. And it's not only like personal safety and like safety of valuables, right? Like, am I parking in a shady neighborhood? Is my car going to get damaged? But then it's also like, am I personally going to get harmed? Like, I need to find, going to or from, I know that is absolutely a concern for me as I drive through neighborhoods and park. I, as a woman driving a car, I often go to networking events in the evening. I have to park in certain neighborhoods. And so I have to be mindful about what neighborhoods I'm parking in. Yep. So it's personal safety, but there's also an element of not wasting petrol as you drive in circles looking. So there is a sustainability piece to it.
Yeah, there's definitely a sustainability piece, very much so actually, because I think it's been dubbed that 30% of traffic is actually caused by parking. So people constantly circling around a block, looking for parking, carbon emissions. There's so much to the story. The safety aspect, definitely, and also affordability. So especially in Cape Town, I don't know if many of the viewers have actually been to Cape Town. It's quite expensive to park there. And I know in LA, Boston as well, it's quite expensive to park on the side of the road. So with our platform, the property owners list the parking at a lower fee than what you would pay on the street. So you can imagine you're saving, you're feeling safe, and also you are contributing positively to the environment. So there are so many benefits of using our platform.
I can't wait till you guys explode. I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited too. I'm super excited too.
So this is a fun story. As I've gotten to know Lesa, I met Lesa at another boot camp in Cape Town. So this one was sponsored by another organization I'm involved in, Bon Billo, where we help nurture social impact ventures. And so under the sustainability piece and kind of social good, we recruited Lesa and her team into our boot camp. So we met in person when we could meet in person. In the time of quarantine. We met in person in Cape Town. So if you have not been to Cape Town, I 100% totally recommend it. It's amazing. The ecosystem there is incredibly supportive. It's beautiful. There's amazing food. Yes, rave and rave. So I was very fortunate to meet Lesa and work with her quite intensely over a 2-week period.
It was quite intense. Definitely quite intense. I learned, so actually I was telling a friend of mine that out of all the boot camps that I've been to, this must have been the best one. Not because I'm on the podcast, but honestly, I learned so much in a very short period of time, because other boot camps or accelerators, they take about like 3 months to get to the point. I'm just like, I want to learn as much as I can right now so I can start hacking my business tomorrow. And that's what Bon Billo gave to me. And it was also all encompassing, which I loved. It was about your business model. Is it globally scalable? Also, your team. You know, I loved the team sessions that we had. A lot of team hacking there, which I guess we'll get into, and also just the sustainability aspect of it as well, because I feel that a lot of accelerators kind of only focus on, are you able to raise funding? Are you making money? And all of that stuff. But what about the earth? Yeah. And for me, that was like a cherry on top.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. So I led a couple of the team sessions and the kind of teamwork and how do you kind of show up as a leader. And I work with clients on their emotional intelligence and their, mindset about being a leader of a founder of a company. It's really hard. So really hard. You need everyone supporting you and rooting for you behind. And I 100% support and root for Lesa and ParkUpp.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you want me to share, but like, remember when we were doing the Strengths Finder? Yeah. Oh, that for me was like so amazing, because I think in a team, like, we don't realize that there are certain things that like only one person in the team can do really well. And it's so important to employ that person to do exactly what they can do, and I think we even had like the fish principle that you can't employ a fish to go and like, I don't know, walk on the street. You have to put it into the water where you can swim. That was amazing. Mind blowing.
Strengths Finder is one of my favorite. And I like it because it just acknowledges that like there are things, it surrounds our energy. So you started this with like, I love your aura. And it's like, okay, if you're doing something you love, your energy just comes right through, right? Exactly. And so I use that assessment in kind of professional development and nurturing stages, because when we're building out a team of a startup, a very early stage team, we want everyone to be excited about what draws their natural energy. And if they're doing something like a fish out of water, it's uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
And it's not energizing. So
not at all
do it. Like, it's kind of obvious, but it's like, yeah, it's not going to work. I was coaching a client earlier this week, and I had the same metaphor. I'm like, look, you can coach a fish, but if you need a bunny rabbit, just, hire a bunny rabbit. Yeah. That's what they do best. And it's really hard for leaders sometimes to admit either hiring mistakes or like learning moments. And an earlier episode, I had a lengthy conversation with a colleague who's like, yeah, I made hiring mistakes and I didn't hire the best person because of my own ego. And I was like, wow, Victoria, that's...
Jeez. That's an aha moment.
Oh my God, she was so brave to like come right out and be like, yep, that's on me. And I admire that and support leaders who do that. Because not every hiring is going to be a knockout of the park.
Spot on.
The best. We want to have amazing colleagues, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? And we have to like find and this is going to sound super cliche, but like find a path of like mutual, hey, this is not working out. Like, you're not getting energy from it. I'm not getting energy from it. Like, how can I support you on to your next chapter?
Chapter.
Like, it's not with us, but it's something else. Right. Yeah. Like, and this is terrible. Like, those conversations, like this is the break in relation, but like those conversations can be handled so wonderfully and so gracefully when it's from a place of care and love and support. Like,
absolutely.
I want you to be happy as a human. I want you to have work that brings you energy. And as a leader, I realize you're not getting energy from this, and it's just draining for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like, and that's okay. Let's fix that. Because I think it's the point of the podcast. It's about the human side of business, right? Like, humans that are happy deliver amazing results.
Absolutely. And I've seen it in my journey as well that, it's been really hard to start something and make something out of it, right? And along the way, because people talk about like, you need to be passionate, you need to be this and that. But I feel like for me, if you're not deriving personal value out of it, you're not being happy doing what you're doing, somewhere along the way, you're just going to fall by the wayside. And I've learned that like, if I do things that energize me, things that I'm super, like I get so much value, so much happiness out of it, that is exactly where I need to go. If you don't have like a childlike spirit, if you're not curious about what you're doing, if you're not playing with the work that you're doing, you're not doing it right. If you, like you said, if it feels like work, it's not it.
Yeah, it's not it.
It's not it. I really believe in the idea of play. I really believe in the idea of just, putting as much love into the work that you do, and also just detaching yourself from, outcomes or any achievement and that sort of thing. Because I think a lot of us kind of do things to achieve a goal, to reach something, but is it really doing something for us internally? Is it really at the seat of our soul? Do you really feel happy about what you're doing? And I think it's such an important thing to do.
You mentioned the childlike and the playfulness, right? And I do a lot of work with organization cultures, and people are like, oh, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. And I'm like, how about I switch it? I'm like, how about we be joyful? How about we find an internal sense of joy about our work? Because that's what it is. Like, happiness is temporary. Happiness is fleeting. It's like, okay, that felt good, and move on. Right. But joy is internal. Joy is abundant. Joy will come from within, and no one can criticize it and say, oh, your kombucha is terrible. Okay. I love it. So I'm going to drink it. Sorry. We're on this story.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like joy is very internal and also it radiates externally. You know, people won't, like, how do I even say this? Like people won't confuse you for anything else. Like they just see it the way that it actually is. Because you will be exuding that abundance. You will be exuding that joy and just that sense of gratitude. Because I think when you're doing something that you truly love, everything is just great, you know? Even if you're encountering problems, it's like, okay, cool. I understand that this is for a reason, and you're grateful that that is happening, because now all that you want to do is solve this problem.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that you're like, ugh, why? Problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's totally a mindset shift, right? It's oh shit, I have to deal with this, versus oh cool, how do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Right? Totally a mindset shift.
Being excited, like to wake up the next day and actually just hack the problem. And I feel that when we do what we love as well, the universe kind of brings everything together so beautifully. Like we currently launching our drive-in cinema. And 2 days ago, we announced and sent out a press release and everything that this is what we're going to be doing. It's incredibly insane how many calls I've been getting in a day, first of all. Emails coming through. Can I help with this? I'm like, this is insane. Abundance.
It's amazing.
It's insane. It's literally so insane, because I've said to the universe, this is something that I really want to do. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know where to start. But then
you
the
let go
universe
of the outcome and
go.
stay focused. Yeah. I think it's interesting because people, there definitely some criticism. People are like, oh, the universe, that's hand wavy. That's juju. That's like, that's not real. And I'm like, oh,
tra-la-la.
Okay, but it is. Like, you do you. I'm going to take all the juju.
And the thing is, like, whether you acknowledge it or not, it's happening.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have to open your mind. It's happening, right? Oh my God. So there's a funny parable about I'm going to butcher this. A man who he's in his house and the floodwaters are coming, and he climbs up onto the roof of the house, and someone else like floats by in a canoe and it was like, hey, jump in, I'll save you. And he's like, no, the Lord will save me. And the guy canoes away, and then the guy's on the house and he keeps rising, and then a helicopter comes and says, hey, jump on, I'll save you. And the guy's like, no, the Lord will save me. And then the helicopter flies away and the guy dies, and he's at the pearly gates, and the guy was like, Lord, why didn't you save me? He's like, I gave you 2 chances. You whooshed them away.
Yeah.
Okay, the universe comes to you. You just need to accept it.
Yeah. You just need to accept the invitation. You just need to accept whatever it brings to you. And also just be curious. Like, why are you telling me to start a drive-in cinema? Where is this all going to end? You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to end up in the film industry. I don't know. But I'm excited about it. I'm curious. Mm-hmm. I want to know. I want to see where all of this is going to lead me to. Mm-hmm. And wherever it takes me, I think I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll definitely have that joy that we're speaking about, because the one thing that I also realized about life is don't put yourself in a box. Because the minute you start putting yourself in a box, you kind of close yourself off to any idea that comes to you. So I could have easily said, you know, I'm a chartered accountant. I don't know anything about tech. I don't know anything about parking. And now I don't know anything about driving cinemas, so I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's that negative self-talk. Negative
self-talk. Like, I'm not good enough. I'll never be able to do this. I don't have the necessary skills. But I don't even think you need skills. You need heart. That's all that you need to continue. You just need heart.
I was going to say courage, which comes from the heart, right?
Yeah.
Because it is fearful. Like, you put yourself out there. you click send on that social media post, or you know, say, all right, I'm going to be doing a drive-in theater, right? And you're like, oh, what's going to happen?
That's what happened to me. I'm like, oh my God, oh, what if we can't? What if? And then I was like, relax. You won't be able to do it, but the universe will. You know what I mean?
When I had to build my curriculum, like, okay, I'm just going to put a thing on the Slack channel and all this help. I was like, oh,
exactly.
I got this.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. We are just conduits for creativity. And I feel that, you know, ideas are literally sitting idle everywhere on the universal realm, and they're waiting for someone to help them manifest into the world. And I feel that for me, it like the ideas aren't sitting there and thinking, oh, I'm going to choose Rachel because Rachel's smart. Rachel
has the pedigree,
has been in the industry. No.
Yeah.
The idea is just like, I need this person and I know this person can do it. So I'm going to choose Rachel. And all that you need to do is say, I'm accepting this invitation. And I know that you are going to help me to manifest this thing into the world, because you, whoever you are, you just wanted to come to life. And that's all that we are. We're just conduits. Yeah.
One of the things that I ask all of my guests, because I'm always learning and I'm always getting exposure, and there's a motivating quote. So I'll tell you the quote. It's from a gentleman here in the States. His name is Darren Walker. So he says, without art, there is no empathy. And without empathy, there is no justice.
So.
And so I always like to ask people, what's your favorite art?
That is kind of hard for me to answer, because I feel that art is everything. Everything is art, you know? For me, art is about putting your heart into whatever it is that you're creating. All the love that you have for the world, or the love that you have, and putting it into whatever it is that you're creating. So I don't like putting things in boxes. So for me, everything is art. I don't know how to explain it. So I don't know. I mean, I have a blog which I write stuff on. And I feel that is a form of art as well. You know, just be able to
writing. Yeah.
Storytelling.
Yes.
Being able to articulate yourself is art. Building a business is art. You know, even styling your hair is art. So as a person who lives creatively every single day, I don't even think there's one favorite thing that I would say, you know, this is it. I don't know. What's your favorite art? I need to put this back to you.
I love refurbishing furniture. And I also love fire. And so I developed an artistic method to burn wood furniture and completely redesign what it looks like. Kind of like this here. So the white, I'm backwards. The white print is a good friend of mine, a local Boston artist, but I did the art and the frame. I created this frame for that piece. So I stare at my art every day. It's great.
That is so cool.
But the burning technique, it was actually created in Japan. It's called shosugi-ban. And when
my gosh.
Right?
No.
And so when you burn the wood, it carbonizes, it changes the element, right? It preserves wood from salty sea air, which in Japan there's a lot of, but it also just brings this depth and this texture and just this visceral feeling to it. So that's my art.
Oh, that is amazing. This actually reminds me of the reason why I started my blog is because of an art process called kintsugi. I'm sure you know it.
No, tell me.
Okay, so kintsugi is, oh gosh, it's so weird how it's also Japanese inspired art. It's a process of taking broken pottery and then filling it with like really precious metals. The process is basically to beautify anything that's broken, that we don't always have to throw or cast aside things that are broken. We can actually, you know, use them for something useful and also make them beautiful. So I guess the reason why I started Broken Fibers is because at some point in my life, I felt I was so broken that I wouldn't be able to, like, people wouldn't actually be able to find value in me as a person. But when I found that Kintsugi is, you know, this artwork of beautifying broken things, it just made so much sense to me that as a society, we're always so quick to throw away broken things.
It's not
and not
perfect.
find value.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one is perfect.
I actually call myself a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah.
Because when you put yourself in a box, when you go through life checking the box and saying, okay, I'm going to follow these steps, and then you realize there's either the internal strife, struggle, or maybe you're not achieving the correct steps, right? According to, I'll just say, society pressures.
Society, yeah.
You know, it makes you feel broken inside. Mm-hmm. I think that is so beautiful. I didn't know that was an art form. I'm going to go research the heck out of it right now.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. But it's very interesting. I'm curious to hear why you're saying that you're covering perfectionist. Like, why did you feel that you needed to be perfect?
I think that's a whole nother episode. You know, I'm still tracing those origins. I'll be honest. I'm still tracing those origins. I participated in cognitive behavioral therapy for 5 years to help with that, right? Because I knew something wasn't working. Actually, it's really interesting. Yeah. I blamed my brain. I literally, have you seen the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where
Terminator.
No, the other one, the kindergarten cop. Okay. No. Okay. So there's a funny line in that movie and he goes, oh, I have a headache. And there's like a little kid in the garden. He goes, maybe it's a tumor. And Arnold goes, it's not a tumor. So it's pretty cliche in the States. Yeah. Anyway, so like for the longest time, I'm like, oh, I'm not perfect. It must be a tumor. I must have a brain tumor. There must be something wrong with my brain. Yeah. Therefore, that's why I'm not perfect, right? Like, I know we think weird thoughts, and I've now learned to separate my thoughts from who I actually am. So yeah. For the longest time, I'm like, oh, my brain, it's broken. Something's wrong with my brain. Like, ugh. And eventually I found my way into cognitive behavioral therapy, which really incredibly helped me. And then I was able to participate in a week-long intensive with the Hoffman process here in the States. And it was really an intense week to help retrain neural pathways. And that's really where I started to come away with a learning mindset, a growth mindset by Carol Dweck. I love that, right? And be able to say, I'm not perfect and I'm going to learn along the way. You're right. I don't know how to teach a university class, but I'll figure it out. I'll put it into the universe. And I loved my students and I think they loved me. I'm pretty confident they loved me, right? So it worked out, right? But it was a lot of pressure I put on myself, a lot of, patterns that I adopted based on, society and things in my universe. And I'm like, okay, I need to realize that those are not serving me and what I need to be joyful. And to be energetic about the work and how I present. And looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why you hated that job. Okay. Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I, when I work with my clients, I advocate mental wellness 100%. I talk about my journey, right? Because, in part of, I'm not famous, but I'm just me being, hopefully I am not hopefully like just being authentic about my mental wellness journey and saying, we're going to talk about it because if your mental wellness is not like, if you had a broken leg, you wouldn't walk around and be like, oh no, I'm not going to deal with it. No, you're going to deal with a broken leg, and your mental wellness is just as important as your physical wellness.
Yeah.
So I talk about it openly because I want other people to be comfortable seeking out mental wellness and finding ways. So now I say I've graduated from CBT. I don't have a one-on-one relationship with the therapist anymore. I have internal ways that I know how to navigate stress and uncertainty. And like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to learn and work through that, as opposed to constantly letting anxiety get the best of me, or chatter, or that negative criticism like that.
Yeah.
The self-criticism was super bad with me.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much power in being vulnerable with your students and the people that you are helping with their own journey. Because if I'm going through therapy or whatever it is that I'm going through, and the person who's helping me is not sharing how they've overcome their own, mental health issues or hurdles, it kind of feels like it's very textbook-like, they're kind of going through the steps, 12 steps or whatever the case.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't like the 12 steps, but if you haven't,
it feels mechanical.
Very mechanical. Like, yeah. I need like a real life story, and I need to see that you have been in my shoes in some way, and that you really understand that this is what I'm going through on my side. Yeah. So there's a lot of power in being vulnerable.
Yeah. And it took a lot of self-confidence and journaling and meditating to like find my own, like, okay, there's a lot of conversations about mental wellness, but like, what is my storytelling? Yeah. How does this impact me? What are those contextual touch points along my journey that help solidify for me? And I actually wrote it down. Hold on. I have it right here.
Amazing.
It looks messy. I'm a tactile learner, and so I need to write things out. I know that about me. And so I'm going to clean that up and make that into a beautiful, slide deck keynote speech at some point. But, that it was me really reflecting on and grounding on what was my journey, and how do I share my journey from an authentic perspective.
Yeah.
To be able to say, find your journey. Your journey is going to be different than my journey. And I know that. And your journey is beautiful. My journey is beautiful. We both get sunshine. That's another one of my favorite phrases. Every flower deserves sunshine.
Sunshine.
We're just different flowers. That's all.
Exactly.
So simple.
I guess it also goes back to the concept of abundance, that there is enough for all of us.
There is.
There's enough sunshine for all of us to bloom and to bud and to look beautiful.
There's another, I'm looking around, I've what you don't see off camera is all my note cards. I'm a handwriting, like I have a thought, I write it down, right? This is how my brain works. I'm not an extrovert. This is fun. I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert, but I am a kinesthetic learner. So I need to write things down. And so I'm looking, I'm like, where's that note card? I literally wrote, oh, it's right there. Leadership is not a zero-sum game.
Oh my God, that is like my favorite thing to say. I actually recently said this to a friend of mine about relationships. So I completely agree. And I mean, it spans across all types of relationships, that nothing we do is a zero-sum game. And the minute one person starts winning and the other person starts losing, then it's not working. It's not working.
Nope. That is binary mindset thinking. That's fixed mindset. I love Carol Dweck. I love her work, right? Because she also identifies like, okay, if you are a binary mindset, if that's where you are today, like, okay, you can change. It's your choice, right? Yeah. But and I love this research. I love my brain. I go around and say, I text my friends. I'm like, I love my brain. There's no tumor. I now love my brain. It's a journey, right? But if I'm a fixed mindset and I think it is a zero-sum game, and I think your winning means my losing, right? If I'm unhappy and I don't like that, Carol's research says, you know what? I can change that. Yeah. Because the brain has plasticity. it can retrain. And I learned that personally, and I see that now. And my journey to create a university course out of my brain, which I love my brain now, is demonstrating that growth mindset, right? Like, what am I learning? What are the students learning? How can I adapt? How can I pivot in the middle of the university semester? Coronavirus forced everyone online. So I was like, great, now we're teaching online, folks. Buckle up. Like, this is what our journey is, right?
Get with the program. Yeah.
Get with it. Like, okay, this is where we are. Right. And so on that point, and I shared this in an earlier episode with a colleague, but when we went on spring break, and then I was the first class back for my students online in the age of Corona, right? In quarantine. And 2 of my students had to travel back to their home country. So they were on a different time zone, right? That first class back, I took a good portion of the time and said, all right, let's do an emotional check-in. How's your housing situation? How's your health? What are you worried about? What is nobody talking about, right? Yeah. And I told my students, I'm like, look, I cried for 3 days. So when Boston went on lockdown, I didn't know what was going on. And I cried 3 straight days because everything was uncertain. I had grief. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm past that. Like, I took the time to feel my feelings, and now I'm showing up for you, my students, nurturing you, saying it's okay to feel your feelings and it's okay to find joy. I think that's also something that in the time of quarantine, people are saying, everything is miserable. You can't be happy. And I'm like, you can find joyful moments. Yeah. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel this quarantine, oh gosh, I actually love this article that you shared. I think she started Burning Man.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite artists at Burning Man, Kate Radenbush.
Oh my gosh, I loved that article. That this coronavirus is forcing us to go within. This is a time to go within. And I think that's why a lot of people are feeling that it's stressful, it's dark times and all of that, because they're used to, first of all, being all out there, not confronting whatever's happening within themselves. And now that they're forced to be within like 4 walls,
and in a box,
literally, we are forced to be in this box where you have to unravel, peel off layers.
Yeah.
And
it can be scary to do that. Yeah. Sorry, I took your words away. Yeah. Like, it can be really scary to do that by yourself. Like,
by yourself.
And I know there's teletherapy, and I 100% support online medicine, and I want people to get help, right? And there's hotlines, like if suicide hotline prevention, like those are all really great resources. But there's also like coaches. I coach people, right? And so I am there to help. And I say, save your friends and family. They want to love you. Hire a coach. It can be really scary for people to go within and really evaluate where their joy is. I think some people in the time of quarantine are focusing too much on their anxiety. Sometimes by choice, sometimes not by choice, right? Like sometimes there are anxiety disorders that just come forefront, but being able to use this time to say, all right, what brings me joy? And if I'm getting a paycheck that puts a roof over my head and food on the table, great. Yeah. But it doesn't bring me joy. So what do I need to do to find joy?
Get there. Yeah.
To get there.
But I've also learned that negative emotions like anxiety, being sad and all of that can also be spiritual teachers. So sometimes we want to do a lot of things to, kind of get rid of them or ignore them. But I think especially in a time like this, it's time for you to pay attention to those feelings and go towards them and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Because I felt anxiety as well. I felt like, oh my gosh, there's so much uncertainty. Where's my business going to go? What's going to happen to me? Like so much was happening, but I was like, okay, focus. What is happening right now? Why are you feeling so much anxiety? And I realized that I had based a lot of my life on achieving things and external validation. But now that I've actually gone towards my fears and the anxiety, I've got that internal validation. I don't need to be all out there for people, or for me to feel joy about myself internally. So sometimes like you're feeling something because you're supposed to feel it, and because you're supposed to deal with like the underlying problem, I guess. And I feel like you're doing yourself an injustice in some way by trying to get rid of those emotions because you just want to feel joy. I think it's, there's space for both negative and positive emotions, because both of them serve very different purposes. But yeah, that's
they absolutely do. They absolutely do. And I think there are some professionals in the world that check the box and they get to a certain status or hierarchy or whatever external validation. And they realize internally they are just so sad. In the States, it's a cliche midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Right?
Quarter life crisis.
Quarter life. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Right? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, okay, like we can't solve the existential crisis, but we can focus and be very clear about our own self-awareness about, are we a fish or are we a bunny rabbit? Right?
Yes.
What brings us joy, what just naturally surfaces where we lose time. And I'm not saying scrolling on Facebook or social media, but
Instagram.
Like, yeah, exactly. There's totally a lot of like, oh no, I reached the end of Instagram. What do I do? But it's more like, how are you using that time? Is it actively or is it passive? Because that behavior could be an addiction of just ignoring your feelings.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking at it and saying, no, I'm going to actually like use this constructively. And I'm going to use it as a platform for me to share tips and tricks about mental wellness. I mean, that's what my social media is like. I could hate on things and I could be really anxious, or I could put positive stuff, like things into the universe. One of my favorite posts that I did was the 2 different flowers, right? So again, the zero-sum game. It's one flower saying, wow, you're so beautiful. Okay, but we're different flowers. Like
the different flowers,
we're supposed to be beautiful and different. We're both beautiful. Yeah. So it's how you're using that and how you're approaching this. As well.
I guess, like life is a perspective game. What sort of perspective do you have where you are about your current situation? And obviously, I don't discount the fact that some situations are kind of beyond our control. It may be family that's making you feel anxious. You may be going through really hurtful things. But I think for the most part, we also have the opportunity to choose how we see things, and obviously have a better perspective on whatever it is that's going on.
Lesa, this has been wonderful. I love chatting with you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your energy with our audience. I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that I was able to impart something to someone out there. Enjoy, stay safe, and stay home.
Thanks, Lesa.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on the PeopleNova Podcast. My name is Rachel O'Neill. The team here at PeopleNova Human Capital would love to hear from you. We are always curious to hear from our listeners. So go ahead and send us an email, podcast@peoplenovahc.com, with your workplace questions or suggestions for who you'd like to see on our show. If you send us an audio memo, we may include your question on the show. Lastly, we are here to amplify. Our guests are amazing entrepreneurs, and we want you to forward our newsletter to someone in your network who needs to know the amazing things our guests are doing, so together we can make an impact. Thank you so much. Take care, and we will see you next time.